Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel, Cap Social Network, also known as the Free Social Network. So, in today's video, I want to show several clips, most of them courtesy of TikTok, with the exception of one which would be courtesy of both the hip hop platform Hip Hop DX, that, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of the platform, and the clip is actually from Instagram, which was shared on this platform, Hip Hop DX, on behalf of a comment that Blueface's mother made. And the purpose of showing this, this clip and both clip and comment, because this is actually audio of her going into detail about what she said about him, something I found very disturbing. A comment the comment did make, and very inappropriate. My point is showing this clip is a perfect example of how emotional incest really does exist in our community. So much to the extent that this is one of the main reasons why some guys usually can't be faithful, nor loyal to one particular woman. Why you have so many guys with baby mamas that usually go getting every woman after every woman pregnant on a regular basis, due to the simple fact that a lot of these guys had been usually sexually abused by mothers in some cases, due to how a lot of black mothers always want their sons to take the places of the toxic and dysfunctional men that they usually get pregnant and usually choose as fathers. To be honest, those same mothers who may usually get abandoned by their children's father or fathers in most cases usually want their sons to take place of an empty void. And these same sons they usually have, once they get old enough or the legal enough age to work, will have their sons not only working a regular job, which is in most cases use a dead-end job, but will want those same sons to take on the role of taking out the trash each time, fixing. If he's pretty savvy when knowing how to fix on cars, to want him to fix the car if he's old enough to do those types of things, will want him to usually take her car to a car repair shop if he doesn't know how to fix, or if he's not that type of use the car. Something that the child's father, the boy's father, usually is supposed to have or take on the responsibility of doing. Some of these same women will want these same sons who are old enough in some cases to legally work, not only work a job to help take care of them, but also will want the son, if he's not making enough to take care of her, will want him to have a side hope. In most cases, will want their son or sons, in some cases, to go as far as selling drugs and give most of the drug money to her so she could be able to look her fine and get, in other words, the most nicest outfit, keep her hair on fleek, her nails on fleek, and on and on. These same mothers are the types of mothers when their kids were as young as infants and toddlers, to make a habit out of walking around their sons' butt. I know a lot of you kids may consider this such a taboo topic, but I'm just calling a spade and calling it like it is, because this is a major problem and dilemma in our community, African American or Black American community, however you like to classify it as, that needs to be addressed. And that's one thing about me, folks. Whether you know it or not, so you who may be bringing my channel, I talk about topics that hardly any other average YouTube content creator, part of the media management, hardly likes to hardly ever likes to talk about. Put it another way. Anyway, And with that being said, oh, and I also want to mention, shame on you mothers that go around walking around your son's butt naked when your son, it may be as old as 6, 7 years old. That's a prime example how a lot of you mothers are not only psychologically damaged in the head, but you also do these things deliberately to provoke your son to the extent where some of your sons will usually become sexually attracted to you and look at you as a sex object. I know this sounds disturbing, but it's the God of the truth. It's not just in white American households, but it's in Black American households as well. Thank goodness, by the way, I wasn't the type of kid to have to go through that due to my mother being a mother of morals and a mother that's been married for over 55 years to my father. Anyways, and I digress. I want to show all these clips pertaining to the subject matter of emotional incest in our community / the Black American community. So if you guys bear with me for a minute, I'm going to show you those clips. By the way, this here first clip, it's a clip that I showed on behalf of the son and mother dynamic, relationship dynamic in one of my previous videos. So I'm going to show it in regards to not only being affiliated with both son and mother relationship dynamic, how some mothers look at their sons that take on the role of being their husbands instead of being a mother to their sons, or not husbands. Husbands used to take on the role of their boyfriends. But this video also, what subject is also mentioned in this video, is on behalf of the topic of this video as well. Anyway, I'm going to show this clip once again, so bear with me.
I do not baby my.
For those of y'all who have been following me, y'all know how I feel about this mother-daughter subject. I don't have the best relationship with my mama, and it's strictly because I be telling y'all, mothers treat their sons better than their fucking daughters. This shit is a proven fact. I don't know if it's just a natural instinct because y'all be feeling like y'all gotta coddle them because of the world. I don't know what it is, but y'all do that shit. We see it, and when
I do not baby my.
For those of y'all who have been following me, y'all know how I feel about this mother-daughter subject. I don't have the best relationship with my mama, and it's strictly because I be telling y'all, mothers treat their sons better than their fucking daughters. This shit is a proven fact. I don't know if it's just a natural instinct because y'all be feeling like y'all gotta coddle them because of the world. I don't know what it is, but y'all do that shit. We see it. And when we tell y'all, y'all literally will fight tooth and nail to say why y'all don't do it. And we can literally tell you how the fuck we're being treated. Let your daughter disrespect you or say something out the way. Y'all want to smack us in our mouth, tell us we are B's, H's, like literally disrespect us to the motherfucking core. Y'all son will literally call y'all bitches, take shit from y'all, all type of shit, rough up to y'all, and y'all will forget him because that's y'all son. That shit makes no perfect sense when you ready to knock your daughter's head off because you call her talking to a boy. This nigga done went to jail talking Glocks and a nigga drinking 60 gallons of lean every day and you don't got shit to say. And you supplying his product too. We have seen men shoot up schools, do things to children. We have seen their mothers stand by them. Very rarely do I see when something happens with a woman, they have anybody in their corner. When women go crazy, when they kill people, it's literally like it be that story about them and they just get vanished in the air. you will see a mama supporting her son, trying to rally for him, get motherfuckers to advocate for her. It's very rare that mothers be there for their daughters in the black community, or a lot of communities, period. Because I be seeing on here foreign kids complain about their mothers all the time, and they still say the men get treated better in their culture. So I can't even say that. It's just like y'all have this, like I said before, a superior complex with y'all daughters, to where it's, I'm the big dog, you don't run shit here. And with your son, it's like you want this to be a safe space for him to always run home because you number one in his life. If you want to fuck your son, just say that. But y'all need to stop acting like y'all don't know what the fuck going on, because y'all know exactly what y'all be doing, and the shit is pathetic. Cause when y'all daughters gonna start visiting y'all, or they start knocking y'all ass out, don't come complaining to us and telling us that they're disrespectful. No, they just tired of your shit, and they tired of you roughing their ass up.
Y'all, on today's Healing Agenda, we're going to talk about it. So the topic for today is emotional incest. How many of y'all know a mother, let's say, who is always up in her son's business as far as it pertains to his life in general, women, his finances, just every fucking thing? How many of you know parents who have parentified their children to the point where like they confide in them for every freaking thing? I'm not gonna wait for nothing because I'm already knowing. I see it too much. I've experienced it myself. I've seen it with other people I've dealt with, especially the men. I see it so much in the melanated community. Mothers who attack the women who enter their sons' lives because the women are not good enough. The women, for whatever reason, don't measure up to mom's standards. It's fucking emotional incest. I used to say this shit all the time, especially about my child's father's mom. Like, do you want to fuck your son? Do you wish you had a child with him instead of me? Is that why you treated me like this? Is that why I'm being threatened? I know I'm not the only person that's experienced something like that. A lot of these single mothers in our communities parentify their sons and have them act as if they're the man in the home because it's no man there. That's emotional incest. You depend on him to satisfy your needs as a grown-ass woman or adult. We gotta do better. Like, seriously, let's talk about it.
Emotional incest. Let's talk about that for a second. A lot of us parents have done this without even realizing it. I must admit I've done this myself with my own kids. Emotional incest is a different type of abuse that typically goes undetected because it isn't physical abuse, it isn't sexual. There are no physical things that are telltale signs of abuse that you can see. Okay? Emotional incest is abuse that happens when you trauma dump on your children, when you place them in adult situations and expect them to react in an adult manner. It's a very complex thing, but let me give you an example. When I was younger, maybe around 7, 8 years old, I remember my father was strung out on crack really bad, and he would leave and be gone for days, but he would return when he ran out of money, and that's where I came into the picture. My mother made sure that she hid her money from my father, and one of the places that she liked to hide her money was in my socks. My father would come home in the morning and we would just hear the arguing and the fighting. And eventually he would come get me and pull me into the hallway or into a room where it was just him and I, and manipulate me into telling him where my mother hid her money. There were times that I did tell, there were times that I didn't. Most of the time I did tell my dad where the money was. He was very manipulative and would always try to woo me with, saying, hey, we're going to go this place and we're going to do all these different things. If you tell me where your mother hid her money, make me feel sorry for him. In those moments that I told my dad where she hid the money, my mother would get mad at me for telling, for snitching right? And in these moments, neither one of them sat and thought, hey, we are placing our kids in the middle of our bullshit. I became sandwiched quite frequently between my mother and my father in their toxic relationship and my dad's drug habit. Expected to understand what exactly? When you inflict emotional incest upon your children, they will reap those seeds later in life, in their own relationships, in their own friendships. All of those behaviors will eventually manifest themselves. Our kids are not our friends. Our kids are not our confidants. They're our children, and we are supposed to protect them, not the other way around.
Mess around and make this a series. So if you have any kind of weird family dynamics that you want me to talk about, feel free to drop them below. But when it comes to toxic single fathers or fathers who may have an emotionally unavailable partner, they will lean on their daughters, but in a different way. A lot of the times, these are the dads that will look at their daughters and be like, oh, you shouldn't do that because that's not what men like.
Shout out to this sis that is pointing out several situations that I can identify with when it comes to my father. So my father is Haitian. He's a African American that forgot where he was from. So basically, I was my father's woman. He had me cook, clean, wash his clothes, iron his clothes, make his meals, take his meals to him when he was at work. This was all when I would say 11 years old to 15 when I left home. So basically, like she said, I was his woman. I was not allowed to wear red nail polish. I was not allowed to wear clothes like a teenager. Whenever I got my period, he was the first person that talked to me about it, not my mother. Now we're going to talk about my mother on another video, but he definitely had rule over who I was as a young woman. I would I would definitely vet the women that came into his life, and none of them was good enough. It was like super weird. And for a long time, I just thought that my father loved me, you know what I mean, because I'm an only child by birth. And shout out to my spiritual family for getting me right. But it was like on some weirdo shit where he would still have me kiss him on the lips, and I was an adult. At this moment in time, I do not speak to my father because I recognize the toxic masculine energy. I also recognize that he was a narcissist, and he also still had mommy issues, even though my grandmother is gone. I have decided to move past that, and I hope that he gets what he needs in life, but I am no longer his scapegoat. I learned things from him as a woman, but you know, he kind of fucked me up in the long run. So shout out to therapists and spiritual family members, and you know, my mom. Love y'all.
You're a dirty
Now y'all know I was gonna comment on this damn video. What you see here is a toxic mother-in-law fighting over her son with his girlfriend. I don't know if she's kicking them out or they decided to move out, but she is withholding their personal belongings and she's blaming everything on his girlfriend while her son tries to de-escalate the whole situation. The only problem is his mama slips up and she calls him her man. Then she quickly corrects herself and she says, my son. This is what we call emotional incest. This woman has a tight hold on her son and she is threatened by his girlfriend. There is no reason to withhold their belongings. Call the police, let the police get there while they get their shit and get out. Why are you being hateful, woman? Because you're mad that this woman is taking your son up out of your house and making him into a man. Your son is not your man, honey. Stop walking around your sons butt ass naked. It is emotional incest, whether you want to believe it or not. Let's talk about it. I give zero fucks who I offend in this video because the reason why we have a nation full of toxic men with mommy issues is because their mommies are toxic. And it's time that we start exposing these toxic mommies for the shit they expose their sons to in their early childhood, causing them long-term trauma. And when they become adults, they take this trauma that they have towards their mamas, the trauma that their mamas created, and they punish their wives and girlfriends for it. If your son is a baby, a toddler, you're breastfeeding him, you're nursing him, you know, he's at an age where he doesn't understand or comprehend nudity. It's totally fine, you know, when they're that small. But as they approach, you know, 5 years old, they're in kindergarten, you don't need to be walking around your sons naked. And you don't need to let them sleep in the bed with you. You have to draw a boundary because this is how it's affecting boys. And it's long-term damage that is caused by their mammies. When your son becomes old enough to watch television and he sees certain commercials and certain things on television, everything is sexualized on TV. He's going to start, you know, feeling a certain way towards the things, specifically women that he sees on television and women that he sees out in the community, even his school teachers. He may be even attracted to them. You know, his first attraction towards women is his mother, and it is on you, his mother, to create a boundary and say, hey, son, and this is subconsciously, hey, son, I'm not your girlfriend or wife. You are not to lust after me. I'm your nurturer. God put me here to be your protector and nurturer, but that's where it ends. But when you walk around naked or you allow your little boy in the bed with you, especially if he's a preteen, shame on you. Then he starts getting things confused, mixed signals saying, hey, is mommy my mommy or is she a sexual object? That's your fault, ladies. Narcissistic women create nasty, codependent, enmeshed relationships with their son, and it messes their son's minds up long term. And then when they get married, they punish their wives and they mistreat their wives and treat their wives like their mothers. They take their anger that they have for their mama out on their wives and their girlfriends, and it needs to stop. I wrote this book, Mother Made You, Mother Fuck You, How to Identify Toxic Men with Mommy Issues. It's available on Amazon. Just click the link in my bio and it'll take you to Amazon. Ladies, stop dealing with these men with these mommy issues, please.
She'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
Mothers who are overly obsessed with their sons and their sons' relationships or marriage and try to sabotage their marriages or their relationships only because they're jealous and mad because their sons have found somebody to date and they always had them to themselves because they're single or divorced or widowed or unhappy in their marriage. And this is a common thing, and guys try to deny it and act like it's okay that their moms are so dependent on them, as if they're dating their son and acting like that's their, spouse, when it's just your son. It's really weird, and it's something that you get a lot of hate for when you say it out loud, especially by men, because they think it's normal because it's been happening for years, until somebody from the outside sees it as weird. That's why a lot of people's relationships don't last.
What are you doing?
This is what it looks like when, emotional incest is committed by a man to his daughter. Because why you don't ever want her to have a boyfriend? And what does that have to do with you, sir? This ain't how you love and protect your child. And if you fear that she's going to be hurt by a man, simply be the man that you want her to date. But that's too much like right for y'all to be right and parent properly. Why do y'all think this is okay? Why do y'all think this is the way you parent?
On that note, and on behalf of the last clip, which I found pretty disturbing, how nurturing that guy happened to be towards his daughter. I don't know whether it may have been his biological daughter or whatever, but I still found it very disturbing. And just due by not only that clip, but this clip, whereas this beautiful sister here gave her perspective on both father and daughter relationships. This is a prime example. Also, not only on behalf of the clip in this TikTok reel, but this beautiful sister here giving her 2 cents on these type of dynamics as well, both daughter and father dynamics, which is one of the main reasons you have several daddy's girls. I mean, how many, with that being said, times have you heard of a daddy's boy? Hardly ever. I've heard of a mama's boy pretty times, and I'm sure a lot of you could relate to the term mama's boy, but never a daddy's boy. And this is also on behalf of how this sister gave her 2 cents on how women can't keep a boyfriend. In most cases, it's because, and this is on behalf of the women that may have grown up very attached to their fathers, and vice versa, with their fathers very attached to themselves, them as well. Excuse me. This is one of the biggest reasons why lots of women nowadays have such a hard time maintaining long-term and happy relationships when men, as in the form of either boyfriends or husbands, due to how some of them have such an attachment, or may have such an attachment with their fathers, their biological fathers, that is, to the extent where they just don't know how to form meaningful, happy, or successful relationships with other men other than when their fathers. And while some women will forever remain attached to their fathers instead of wanting to have healthy, strong, meaningful, and successful relationships with men other than their fathers, men who they could be able to start them a foundation with by marrying and bearing kids by as well. And when some of those women do, and on the flip side, when some women do get in long-term relationships with men, what it may be in the form of having just a boyfriend or a husband, some of them, once they may feel like they never had a father and they feel good growing up, some of them may look at as in their men from the perspective that their men should always take on the role that their fathers didn't get the chance to take on. For a lot of women that never had close relationships with their actual fathers. So, with that being said, it's a double-edged sword, so to speak, as far as father and daughter dynamics, relationship dynamics go as well. Anyway, let me show a few other clips pertaining to this here topic.
Boy moms, how much of a role do they play in all this?
I'm a boy mom, and I completely agree with Mel's video, so go watch it if you haven't watched it. And so the other day I had my 3 boys, right, and this girl, their friend, was with us as well, and I noticed my 4-year-old hiding something behind him, right? And he was just like, "Mommy, don't look, don't look." So I was like, "Oh, okay." But I happened to catch a glimpse of what was going on. So he had picked a flower and was giving it to his friend. A part of me was just like, oh, and because usually when he picks a flower, he gives it to mommy all the time. Like, I'm so spoiled. I have so many flowers in my pockets if we go for a walk. Anyway, so that happened, and I caught myself and I was like, yeah, I feel jealous, because I'm like, this is what's going to happen in the future. And in that moment, I could have chosen the path of like owning my son and being like, you need to get one for mommy too, mommy's sad, blah 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 blah. But I'm not trying to be one of those toxic moms. So I said to him, Ezekiel, I don't mind you giving, you know, your friend the flower. I really don't. And I lied a bit, but I was like, I really don't, and I'm happy that, you know, she gets to have some flowers, you know. And so in that moment, I was able to kind of set him free and show him that there's no guilt, there's no shame. It's okay for you to love someone else as well. And then my 6-year-old, soon after that, we were all walking again, and he said, "Oh, so how was your day?" And I started to tell him about my day, and he said, "Mommy, I wasn't asking you, I was asking my friend," right? I don't want to say her name. And I was just like, 2 of my sons are being taken away by this little girl. And again, I caught myself in that moment, and I said, okay, that's okay. And we just kept walking, and it got me thinking, is this the reason why mother-in-laws are horrific to their daughters-in-law? Like, because they feel like they own their sons and that only they deserve the love that comes from their sons. So they spoil their sons, and they teach their sons to just only have loyalty to them and them alone, and nobody else. And they treat them like they're kings, and you know, and that another woman has to treat them that way. And, you know, it just really got me thinking. And I think that that's why mother-in-laws are so mean, because they're jealous of their daughters-in-law, and because they have this weird, emotional, incestuous relationship with their kids. And it's just weird.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show around 3 more clips. Now, the next two will be on behalf of some of my favorites that I wasn't able to download on like with all the previous TikTok reels. Instead, I had to end up saving these as some of my favorites pertaining to the topic of emotional incest in the Black American community. Right after these clips, folks, I plan on also showing the clip which I found very disturbing on all levels of Blueface's mother, and this being a perfect example, and I do mean a perfect example, point blank period, on how emotional emotional incest is running rampant in our community. A topic, once again, that we still don't like to address in the African American community. So here are the last two TikTok clips I'm about to present to you.
A lot of times we don't talk about how women date their sons. And single mothers oftentimes do everything but their sons. And that's the reason why I say, you know, a single mother is a boy factory. And the reason why I say that is because it's not that a boy can't be birthed from a two-parent home, although it is, you know, it's an abnormality, you know, it's an anomaly of sorts that you would encounter a significant amount of subpar men that have been raised in destructive two-parent homes. But single women become so emotionally dependent upon their children, specifically their sons, that they will convince themselves that they don't need a man until they encounter the space from being alone to genuinely being lonely. And now we're having to deal with the imbalance that was set in the household, because this boy is not your son, he is your man. When you want to cuddle, you go lay down with them. When you want some emotional time, you go watch movies with them. You touch them and you rub them and you massage them. And you do these things, everything that you would do to a man to suffice that. A lot of women even dress their sons like the man that broke their heart.
Okay, so let's talk about emotional incest and why I think a lot of Black women are in love with their son.
No, because this is something that really needs to be addressed. Like, I don't understand why women do this shit. You will sit up here and browbeat your son's girlfriends and run them off to get your son all to yourself because he doesn't need a girlfriend. He doesn't need anybody else when he has mommy. Y'all will constantly do little weird things and say things like, oh, that's my king, he's a man of the house. Ma'am, that is your son. That is a boy, a little boy. Why are you, why? It's disgusting. It really is. Because y'all are the same ones that will create mama's boys that will be living in your basement until they are 45. And then you want to know where you went wrong. Baby, that's because you fell in love with him and didn't want to let go. Let it the fuck go, please.
Okay, so let's talk about emotional incest.
I don't mind if y'all say stay out his business. I don't mind if you say weird stuff. Just don't be saying the stuff about I want to sleep with him. That's just going too far, okay? I got my own dick over here, and it's bigger than my son's dick, okay? So we gonna get that all cleared up for y'all. And if y'all need me to post that D, so that y'all know what I'm working with over here, you know I ain't got a problem with it. I will go home and get it up for you right now and post you a nice little pic.
Well, I just don't know what to say about that very last clip of Blueface's mother, because you already heard my take already on what I gave on it, or my take and my 2 cents on it. And you even heard it just then from the quote unquote horse's mouth by her actually saying it herself. Anyways, until next time, you guys, first and foremost, like the vid, you share it, you comment on this particular topic, and then comment section down below. Last but not least, subscribe to the channel. You guys have a good day.